Please take very careful notes and make sure that you're writing every single thing that it's in the video. That includes the titles, the definitions, and every single work example. Use different colors to be able to track all your notes. We're going to start by covering what complementary angles are. Complementary angles are two angles whose sum is 90 degrees, which is a right angle. So, we're going to start by looking at the first one. We have 30 plus 60, that's going to give me 90 degrees. So in this one, we can clearly see that that's a right angle. Whenever you see a square like this, that means that that's going to be a right angle. So you know that the two angles in this case are going to give you 90 degrees. Now, in the next one, you don't have a square, so you know it's not going to give you that. But now let's prove it using numbers. So I'm going to do 60 plus 40, and that's supposed to give you 90 degrees. But in this case, it doesn't give you that. So it doesn't really work out, so I'm just going to cross it out. And for the next one, you actually need to find the value of x. We know that this is going to be equal to 90 degrees. We have the square. So now we're going to do 25 degrees plus x is going to give me 90 degrees. Now I want to try to leave the x by itself, so I want to subtract 25 from both sides. This cancels, and now you have x is going to be equal to 65 degrees. For this one, we're going to have supplementary angles. So for supplementary angles, there are going to be two angles whose sum is 180, also known as angles on a line. As you can see in the first example, you actually have a straight line right here. So you're going to have two angles that are on the same line. This one is going to be an example of supplementary angles. Just by looking at the next one, you can clearly see that this is not going to be 180. Again, this is not even in the same line. And the last one, they're in the same line. You know that they're going to be supplementary, but we're going to have to solve for x. So let's go one at a time. So for the first one, we're going to do 100 degrees plus 80 degrees is going to give you 180. So it works. For the next one, you have 60 degrees plus 40 degrees, but that's not going to be equal to 180. That's what we're trying to get. So again, this is not going to be an example of supplementary angles. And lastly, we need to find x. In this case, we're going to set up the equation as 25 degrees plus 2x is going to give you 180 degrees, because that's what a supplementary angle equals. So I want to start by subtracting 25 from both sides, because keep in mind that you're trying to get the x by itself. So we're going to cancel this out, and now you're left with 2x is going to be equal to 155. And then you're going to divide both sides by 2, and you're going to get x equals 77.5. And to double check our answer, we're going to plug it in. I'm going to put 25 plus 2 times 77.5. So that's going to be 25 plus 155, and that equals 180. So it works. Now we're going to go over vertical angles. So given two intersecting lines, so that means that there are going to be two lines. This is one and this is one, and they're going to be crossing at one point. Vertical angles are going to be opposite angles that are non-adjacent. Adjacent means that they're next to each other, and they're going to be in the same vertex. Vertical angles are going to be congruent. And there's a note that says that congruent means that two figures or items have the same measurements. They're not the same, but they have the same value. And if you use transformations such as rotation, reflection, or translation, one fits on top of the other one. So we can actually say that this angle right here, 60, that vertical angle is going to be the opposite one. It's going to be right here. So if this is 60, the vertical angle right here is also going to be 60 degrees. So this angle is connected to this angle. They're vertical angles. Now, every vertex has two pairs of them. So that means that the next angle right here, that 120, is going to be a vertical angle to this one right here. So that's also going to be 120. And that's pretty much it. Those are vertical angles. Now we're going to be applying the information that we have been covering. So we're going to be going over interior angles. So given a set of parallel lines intersected by a transversal, that means this line is parallel to this one, and this is the transversal that is intersecting it. And then this line is parallel to this one, and again, this is the line that is intersecting it. Now, whenever you have a pair of parallel lines and also a line cutting them, you're going to have same side interior angles that are supplementary. So that means that they're going to add up to 180. So let's look at it. So same side interior angles, so 60 plus x are going to be supplementary. So that means 60 plus x is going to be equal to 180. To find the value of x, the only thing you need to do is subtract 60 from both sides. And now you have x is equal to 120. Again, this is because same side interior angles are going to be supplementary. And now we're going to be going over alternate interior. Okay? So whenever we're talking about alternate, that means one yes, one no. One yes, one no, right? It's jumping from one side to the other. So in this case, this is going to be an alternate interior to this one. So the top one right here is going to be alternate interior with this one. And whenever they're alternate interior, that means that they're going to be congruent. That means that x is going to be congruent to 115 degrees. So that means that x is going to be 115, since 115 is congruent to 150. Keep in mind that there's a different sign. It's an equal sign with something above. You cannot write the equal sign because if not, it means equal, not congruent. Right here, we're going to be dealing with exterior angles. So now, given a set of parallel lines intersected by a transversal, so similar to the other one, we're going to be dealing with same side exterior angles, and same side exterior angles are going to be supplementary. So that means that they're going to add up to 180 degrees. So the same side exterior, it will be right here for the first one. So that means that 180 118 plus x is going to be equal to 180 degrees. Subtract 118 from both sides. You get that x is equal to 62 degrees. Now we're going to be looking at alternate exterior angles. So alternate exterior angles, as it mentions right here, they're going to be congruent. So if this is 50 degrees, the alternate is going to be on the other side, and again, we're going to be looking right here. It's going to be exterior. So it's going to be in the opposite right here. So that means that 50 degrees is going to be congruent to x. So that means that 50 is going to be congruent to 50. So your value of x is going to be 50 degrees in this problem. Now we're going to be going over corresponding angles. So corresponding angles are going to be congruent. Now you have to be very, very careful, because corresponding angles are going to be on the same side in the same location of the line. So for example, you see how in 113 right here, this is your angle in this corner. So the corresponding one will be right here, because it's going to be pretty much in the same location in the other parallel line. And that means that they're going to be congruent. So pretty straightforward. The value of x is going to be 113. And that's because 113 is congruent to 113 degrees. For the next one, you have something similar. If you look at the top parallel line, and this corner right here, you have 99 degrees. So opposite of that, right here, in the other line, that's going to be your corresponding angle. So that means that y is going to be equal to 99 degrees, because 99 degrees is congruent to 99. And that's pretty much it. So keep in mind that they have to be in the same side, in the same location, but in different lines. This is going to be your quick review about all the angle relationships. So first, we're going to start with vertical angles. Vertical angles, you have 1 and 4 are going to be vertical angles. They're on opposite side of the lines. The sign that I'm going to be drawing right here, that means angle. So angle 1 and angle 4, they're going to be vertical. Then you also have angle 2 and angle 3. So I'm going to put angle 2 and angle 3. In the next one, you have angle 5 and angle 8. Again, they're in opposite sides. So I'm going to put angle 5 and angle 8. And lastly, you're going to have angle 6 and angle 7. And they actually help us see how angles are congruent. Because by definition, you know that angle 1 and angle 4 are congruent. That means that they have the same measurement. So let's show that. So I want to write angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. And now let's look at alternate interior angle. We said that alternate interior angles are congruent. So that means that angle number 3 and angle number 6 are going to be equal to each other. They have the same measurement. So to identify, I'm going to put angle 3 and angle 6 are alternate interior angles. And then you also have angle 4 and angle 5 are also alternate interior. Now, because they are alternate interior angles, they're also going to be congruent. So that means that angle 4 is congruent to angle 5. So we can actually say that angle 1 is congruent to angle 5. And if you look at it, they're actually going to be the corresponding. They're in the same location. So that's how we prove that they're going to be the same. Now it says same side interior. So the same side interior angles, that's going to be angle 3 and angle 5. And the other side is going to be angle 4 and angle 6. Corresponding angles, so we know that angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. You also have angle 2 and angle 6 are going to be corresponding. So this angle right here looks exactly like that one. Now we're also going to put angle 3 and angle 7. And lastly, we're going to put angle 4 and angle 8. Now we're going to jump into alternate exterior. So alternate exterior means it's going to be in the opposite side all the way at the bottom. So 1 and 8 are going to be alternate exterior. And by definition, we said that alternate exterior angles are congruent. So that means angle 1 and angle 8 must be congruent. Now, how can we know that? We know that angle 5 and angle 8 are actually vertical angles. So we could actually add right here that angle 8 is congruent to angle 1 because angle 1 is congruent to angle 5. So to write all the alternate exterior is going to be angle 8 and angle 1, angle 2, and angle 7. So that covers all the angle relationships.